Berlin or in Berlin. Make it a spin move or else you'll win. And then begin to see what you're doing to me.
We are going to be having that conversation with Moria Gray. We're pushing that back to around 10:45, 10:50-ish, and going to be really cool. We were talking about this, Paul. So Moria is a young girl, but what she's done is wrote 2 children's books already. Wrote one, and it did very well. She does all these vendor events, and now she has a second book on the way, and has a stuffed animal or a plushie.
I believe she came to the county board.
I'm sure she did.
Yeah, and not to mention I have Doc, Michael Doc Holliday. He's been a board member. A really good guy, really active in the community. He's like, hey, you guys want to buy this book? I bought the book off, and I gave it to my niece. Yeah, really
cool. Well, she has a plushie that's out too, and she had it right there where the litter bug sign is. But she came in and we had a good talk, and she'll be coming on to the show, and we'll air that around 10:45.
Right, and the thing is too, she's doing stuff like that when she's young. You know how.
It's cool.
Who knows where she's going to go by the time she's famous.
I joked about her.
But when she's older, she might be a real famous, best-selling author, you know.
Well, I joked to her. I said, listen, I don't know too many people that get more exposure than me every day, but she does. She's on Gravoy's billboard.
Can you imagine writing a book at that age?
No.
At that age, I was like reading comic books and playing with He-Man. And
I was
like
barely reading.
Yeah.
So, with that being said, Paul, I love having your insights on the show. We are officially less than 5 weeks away from the municipal election.
Isn't that crazy?
No,
it seems like me and you were talking about the big November elections. Yeah,
that's true. Actually,
right.
Well, and as the things are going right now, you're active as can be. Especially when it comes around this time of year. State of the race so far, 2025. What are you seeing?
Well, every municipality has their own different issues and what they run on, their different candidates. So I'm going to focus kind of like on what I know.
Yeah, because you're up in
Collinsville, Maryville, yeah. So we have some big races. We'll start off with the library board. We all know that's kind of been a lightning rod lately. We made the news, Channel 4, not for something that I wanted Collinsville to make the news for, with an employee trying to put a satanic book in the library, got pulled, and a group of, I'll just call them progressive protesters, they held their little protest, they wanted the satanic book in there. This is really, I'm not going to spend too much time on this. It's a waste of time. But anyway, so this election, the same people who wanted that book in the library, 2 of them are running. They basically, they want to use a library, what I don't think it's for, maybe like social activism to push their political agenda, where like the other library board candidates, they're worried about investing money, just, basic library stuff, getting good books in there for everybody, stuff that reflects the community, maybe not just a certain social issue. I just don't think the library is a place to have like activism for certain, I'll just call them fringe ideas, well, especially for the Collinsville area. There's not a big demand for books about the occult in our library, nor is there a demand, because I've been elected official for a while now. I've lived in Collinsville a long time. I've never heard anybody say that they want drag queens or these kind of books that are kind of out there in the library.
Well, and like I said, 10 times more about that area because you live it. I kind of just observe, but I'm not trying to sound like a jerk about this. I know some people will go, "Why is he making?" I'm not, but I just never thought of a library trustee race, a library board race to have that much, kind of contention and weight to it. It's very interesting. You know what I'm saying? Because because you're right, though, because normally library boards are about kind of, here's what we want to do to invest your tax dollars and all of that to, bring this into us. So it's just fascinating to hear this.
Let me tell you something what the new board did that we got elected a couple of years ago. They raised around $90,000 just in investments that didn't cost the taxpayers anything. So they greatly lowered the tax levy in the last 2 years. The previous board, they got a real negligible amount. It was like literally under $500. Wow. And so, like, if you think of a CEO, took over a company and he had that kind of increase in, in their value, he'd be, he or she'd be considered a genius.
Right.
So we kind of want to keep that going.
Is there some people on your mind that are doing this?
Yeah, we have Kathy Murphy. She's on the board now. She's oversaw a lot of. She's a really nice lady. Full disclosure, she does live in my neighborhood, so I know her really well. She's a teacher. She's kind of oversaw a lot of this stuff. She's running. Kelly Reeder is also running. So she's great lady, substitute teacher, volleyball coach in the area. She's just really, really passionate, you know, about getting up for the library.
Yeah, it's so really good to know. Anybody else that you're looking at for those?
Another guy named Ken Noseworthy. He was a business owner at one time. He's retired. He knows a lot about maintenance.
Okay,
everything
gotcha.
like that. Got a good background in that. So they're having maintenance issues and stuff around the library. So we could get his eyes on that. And he's just. We'll keep the theme of fiscal responsibility, keep the library doing what it's supposed to do, cut down some of the contention. The other candidates running, I mean, the guy by the name of Ian Green, said a lot of contentious things about local churches and stuff. So I'm not going to give you all the details. They're publicly recorded. He said them in a library board meetings. Their other candidate, Lindsay Serrano, she describes herself as a social justice activist. Mm-hmm. She's also stated publicly how she wanted, the satanic book in there and, the drag queens and maybe explore some more social issues instead of the traditional issues in a library. And if that's their take on what a library should be, let's let the voters decide.
Well, and I like your approach to that because because listen, there's things that people might disagree with what you're saying, but you have the perfect answer there is let the voters make that choice because they have every right to do so.
Right. They didn't like the way the last library board went, so they put a lot of new people on there.
It's very fair. Well, and also too in Collinsville, I've been seeing a lot of activity when it comes to municipal races and. Out of all of the areas, I would say between Godfrey, Alton, and Collinsville, those are the most active of the three. I see Granite too, but I would put them kind of with battling out with Collinsville for the top three.
Oh, yeah. Oh, and the thing is too, like I have notes there. I usually don't have that. I just want to make sure I get everything in.
Oh, yeah, no, man.
Yeah, because I was on the Andy Fry show not that long. I was like, I didn't get to talk about all my candidates and what's going on.
Yeah.
Well, our township is very interesting in Collinsville too. Derek Cox did an amazing job. We have so much going on at our township. We have so many services. What he's done with the senior center, providing them a bus. He got the grant for that parking lot that our parking lot, the senior center, was bad.
Yeah.
So he kind of, he got the grant for that. He got that fixed. I mean, to me, senior citizens, they're a really important class. They've worked so hard. They've paid taxes. They've helped build our communities. Let's let them live on Easy Street, the last, part of their life, man, because you think about it, 30 years ago, I was in high school. 30 years from now, I'll be a senior citizen. So all that stuff moves very fast. Yeah. So we're all going to be there because a lot of people are like, oh, why are they so worried about, the seniors? I'm like, well, we're all going to be there someday, and they help build our community.
Well, they paid taxes for 35 years.
I mean, if you look at a town like Collinsville, Maryville, any of these towns, look at, they're nice places to live who kind of paved the way. And so, but besides that, though, he's lowered the taxes in the township.
Wow.
Yeah. A lot of the townships, they have increases, and Derek, he works it, man. He has he provides more services somehow too, and he's finding out more like waste and stuff, and he wants to cut back on some more spending. That's kind of going to be the theme of the campaign with Chuck Markowitz versus Pete Paletti too. Pete has been there, I think, this 47 years as of now, 48. So this would put him over the 50-year mark for the assessor's office. Wow. And just nothing against Mr. Paletti. I don't know him personally. He's one of the only elected officials I've never talked. I've reached out a few times. And he hasn't been into the office in 6 years. He hasn't been to a meeting, I think, in at least that long. I've go to a lot of time, never seen.
Is that verified? I've not being funny to you. Is that verified? Like that
is verified, yeah. And he has employees who receive pretty good salaries. So you have these employees here. You have the person not showing up. Chuck says he want, and there's some spending there too that we think we could rein in a little bit. So Chuck Markowitz was talking about that. This guy took all the classes to get certified for the assessor, paid out of his pocket, worked on it over the last year, so he's ready to go. He's passionate about it.
You know what? I like there's someone putting the work out. Well, I don't know much about it, and I want to clear. I don't know a lot about the Collins. That's why I call you and have folks come on, because we have a larger coverage map. But and I don't know much about the race, but to hear just going and taking classes at least, that's a lot more than what others do. And
I'm not knocking Mr. Paletti's
no,
his career as an assessor, but almost 50 years.
Yeah.
he hadn't been in the office in 6 years. He doesn't come. I've done go to meetings, so maybe it's a new direction. And Derek's going to get supported, hopefully, by Margot Wrigley. We're all getting behind her. And Brad Sewell, he's already a trustee. He does an amazing job. Brad's always doing stuff around the community. He's real popular, real nice guy. Everybody knows Brad. So we just kind of want to keep the good policies going. Yeah, because Collinsville's had a change on a lot of things. I'm the first Republican to kind of hold my board seat ever. Yeah. Linda Wolf, she's also got a good chunk of Collinsville. She's also a Republican. So, and then the city where, it's not so much like Republican versus Democrat. It's just a different philosophy of government. It is. Getting more for your money. Maybe, you hate cutting back on jobs and spending, but if it's not necessary, let's keep things a little cheaper for the taxpayer. Well, and see, that's such a good point too, Paul, because a lot of times, and I see comments all the time, what's your political affiliation to mayoral candidates? And, I think it's okay to ask that question. There's nothing wrong in asking, but I don't think that necessarily is the right way to go about running a town because I feel like mayoral and local issues are common sense issues. It's agree. Not a lot of, outliers there. It's just what makes sense at the time for the majority of the people. You know what I'm saying? Well, and I think it's a philosophy in government. Yeah, that's true. You just hit it there. Maybe because I'll just give you a very, very important issue in Collinsville right now. This is going to tie into this race and probably all the races. A group, a trustee who's no longer going to be a trustee. She didn't run for re-election. Okay. Ashley Stewart is her. I believe another trustee who is running for re-election, Matt Gunther. They want to turn the senior center into an overnight warming shelter. Oh, okay. For the homeless, and I am not 110% against a warming center for the homeless, but I am 110% against it in a senior center. It's not feasible, and the thing is, certain things as an elected official, you have to talk about before a meeting to figure out if it's feasible. You just don't go out there and talk for the sake of talking. And anybody knows, because for one, they didn't talk to any city leaders about what they want to do. Like most of downtown Collinsville is me and Linda Wolf intersect right around the senior center. Mm-hmm. So that affects me. I didn't get a phone call. I don't think Derek Jackson, the city manager, was called. I don't think the mayor was called. The city council members didn't know that they were going to bring that up, try to discuss it, and it created contention. The seniors, of course, were mad. They're like, hey, you're not going to do that. Right. Let's go. So what you're saying is you aren't necessarily against the idea of an overnight warming. It's just we got to find better location. And to these people wanting to turn the senior center into one, why don't you spend time finding a place to put one in there instead of just saying, hey, just dump it on the senior center, put the work in. Well, and you know that was an issue in Edwardsville a few years back. Oh yeah. I was with the church, and it wasn't the same issue, but it was a similar one of what's the permit use like, what's the legality of it, and they worked it out. You said, hey, we're providing the space, the city approved it or whatever happened, and they moved forward, and it worked out for the better for their area. So I mean, I'm not saying I know the answer for Collinsville, but a conversation. Definitely probably is the best step forward. I mean, you have to talk to the, law enforcement. Yeah. Hey, chief, what do you think about maybe, a lot of homeless people coming to, Main Street? Yeah. And I hate to say it too. I think we'd get homeless people all over the area. It'd be like they have a warming center. The senior center is really nice. Okay. So they're like, I think that would, and I don't think we don't have an out of control homeless problem in Collinsville to where we would need a large shelter like that. Well, so, I think that's such another thing too is some of the more progressive activists in town will not work with churches because they have a hostile relationship with them. So, the churches don't care, but they get attacked by them. They don't communicate with churches who would normally take care of this. So you're you're putting everything on the local government. And I don't think the government, they don't have the resources. Probably. I just don't think government's meant to be all encompassing to fix everybody's lives. The community's got to do a lot. That's why you got to get along and work with everybody. And something like churches, a lot of people in my community go to church on a regular basis. Well, and two, I think the bigger point to make on that is it's not saying we aren't, it's the argument against the overnight or whatever it is that you aren't against it. No. It's just, maybe a conversation. There's got to be a broader conversation about this because we've had just last week a conversation about what Hand Up Housing's doing with Homelessness Reimagined over at Best Western Premier. They're having a countywide discussion on this. And it's one of those where, they understand that, handouts aren't the best way forward for this. Sure. But, they also know that there's programs that if we collaborate on, maybe they could help. So that's kind of my thought is. It's what you guys are doing. You're meeting, I've been working on this. There's a project, put solar panels up on Pleasant Ridge. That's in my district. Okay. It's literally a half mile from my house. I jog by it when the weather's good. I've spent hours on this, talking to people, talking to various city leaders. And that's what you have to do. I'm not going to go on the board floor and talk for 3 or 4 hours about this. I'm going to line up my facts. And I'm going to state my opinion on the matter. And it's going to be the hardest call I've made as a county board rep, because I understand the property owner wants the money that he's going to get from the company for the solar panels. Right. I understand the city leaders want it as residential. I understand a lot of the community saying they don't want to look at the eyesores of solar panels. So I'm getting it from a lot of areas, and I understand everybody's point. So it's going to be a tough vote for me when I finally make my call. And the thing is, you talk about that with important people and leaders. You don't talk in meetings for the sake of hearing yourself talk. That's a good point. I think when I go to some of these township meetings, I've seen some of the trustees they have now just kind of trying to impede Supervisor Cox instead of like everybody talking before the meeting, be like, okay, maybe the warming center is just not feasible. We haven't done our legwork, or, Derek has. It's just not possible, guys. Here, money, staffing,
Do you
insurance.
think there's a solution eventually?
I mean, as far as shelter in the senior center,
not inside of it. But is there a solution outside?
There could possibly be some places in Collinsville.
That's what I'm saying.
They could work. I personally don't want one on Main Street now.
Okay, good. And that's where I kind of just wanted to leave. Do you have a moment to take a break?
Yeah, I got all kinds of moments.
We'll come back and we'll chat a little bit more. Remember, we're extending the show today. We're going to go to 11:30 today with that conversation with Amoria Gray, but more with Paul comes your way next.
Have a rash, pink eye, or urinary tract infection and need care now? OSF On Call Urgent Care is here to treat you. Start a virtual visit 24/7, whenever and wherever you need it. It's just that easy. OSFOnCall.org/virtual visit.
Has free checking become a thing of the past? Not if Liberty has anything to say about it. With 3 free personal checking options and even a free business checking account, Free is alive and well at Liberty Bank, the local bank that gives you free checking choices and more cashing in your pocket. Bank locally, bank Liberty. For more information, visit www.bankliberty.com.
I set the thermostat so my house would be warm when I got home from work, but the kitchen is still cool.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we stand behind every Lennox system we sell.
My dealer said he'd take care of everything.
At Barrett Heating and Cooling, we understand everyone wants prompt, professional service.
Turns out it wasn't my furnace after all, just a little something blocking the vent.
Pretty smart dog if you ask me. For service you can count on, call Barrett Heating and Cooling.
Lennox. Innovation never felt so good.
Brant Walker knows how to get results for Alton because he's done it. As Mayor Brant froze the property tax levy and balanced the budget, his economic development policy stimulated $116 million in private capital investment. Community policing and increased resources for public safety led to a decrease in crime. And under Brant Walker's leadership, Alton secured more than $10 million in extra grant funds for infrastructure and park improvements. Move Alton forward with Brant Walker.
Macias Insurance Agency, providing quality products with extremely competitive prices. As an independent provider, we source multiple companies to offer the best rates possible, covering auto, home, business, and life insurance. Our goal is to provide quality service that meets and exceeds customer expectations. You can rest easy knowing the Macias team is working round the clock to ensure that both you and the most important parts of your life are covered. Our qualified professionals make the insurance process easy so you can live carefree and focus on what matters most. Visit MaciasInsuranceAgency.com today to find out what our team can do for you.
You're listening to Our Daily Show with CJ Nasello on RiverBender.com.
Welcome back, Daily Show, 10:53. We are extending the show to 11:30 today. Back with Paul. I had Lionel Richie on the plane, and you got to take a picture with him because he held my flight up to Rome for 2 hours. They said there was mechanical issues, and that sucker came down in a golf cart, and that plane was ready to take off.
All right, well, I tell you, that man's a talent.
I'm telling you,
we can do a whole podcast talking about him, his work with the Commodores. Does really a cool guy with a good spirit. Do you ever see him like give a bad vibe at any time?
Multi-genre too. I mean, that guy can do anything. I mean, he really can.
He had that Netflix special. Him and Quincy Jones did Weird World.
That's right. Yeah.
Did you see him kind of like maneuver around all those different personalities for all those artists?
Yep.
So yeah, he's like, what you see is kind of what you get. I think he's just like a really cool guy all the time. Yeah, well, good energy.
What was funny is he's one of those guys too. If you don't take your moment, he knows it. Because I was the first one that I said, I'm getting my damn picture. So I went up. He goes, oh yeah, absolutely. None others. He was right to the plane afterwards. Right. He was like, you got your one. Now I'm going to work. I'm going to lay down. But getting back into this, I think April 2nd we'll all be playing that song in the car a little bit. Because no matter what, it'll be over. It'll be done with. And then now another administration all over the RiverBend region will be taking shape. So right now, I mean, going forward, where else are we at here?
Well, I'm looking at races all over the county. Like, obviously, I'm way more invested in what's going on in the Consolidated Maryville area.
Well, you should be. You're a resident there.
Our city council, that race is going to be a good race too. David Seaton, he's I'll call him a pillar of the community. He's done a lot around the area. Yeah. He's a local pastor. He's really good. Donna Green's running for re-election. So those two are probably the strongest favorites. Got another young kid named Alonzo Skipper. He's also running. He's trying to make a name for himself. So it's going to be interesting.
Let me ask you this, because this is where the disconnect, I think, comes in from the public.
Sure.
How important is it for the county board members to have not necessarily a working relationship, or at least an open conversation and dialogue with city officials?
Oh, I think it's paramount. I talk to city leaders all the time.
Do you really?
All the time. Wow. Like from the superintendent of schools, the chief. Me and him work out the same gym, so that's easy to see him. I really don't have to. But
I get what you're saying.
I talk to the city manager, Derek Jackson. Jackson's really good. I talk to our mayor. But yeah, anytime there's a big issue, and like I said, these solar panels, I've talked to them a lot now, almost on a weekly basis. We're trying to figure this thing out. No, but you got to have, because there's so many arms of government. Like, I am not an expert on all of them. So, like, if I need a question answered, or like, hey, what's your opinion on this? This is kind of more, your issue, like something like a zoning or anything. I go ask, the city leaders. Like when we were discussing, like we said earlier, the senior center, no warming center.
Right.
I talked to about, every city council member and, the city manager. And you're like, no, that's not a good idea there.
See,
once again, they weren't completely against the warming center.
It was just the location.
Not there.
Well, and now going forward, what else are you looking at throughout there? Because there's,
I'm really interested in your mayor's race. Like, I don't live in Alton, but you got, I could be wrong, but off the top of my head, I would say you have the most competitive mayor's race.
I think Alton does.
In the county,
I think
for sure. You got three people who are pretty strong candidates.
Yeah, all of them are really. You got a good point.
Either one of them could win. So you got various people backing certain ones. So it's a shame that it's not only that race, because that'd be one to watch in the county. Like I think all three of them need to debate.
Yeah, honestly, you're right. A lot of people are saying that too. They're commenting on RiverBender a lot and saying the forum was good, but they wanted to hear more. So interesting.
And honestly, too, a lot of people troll on Facebook. Me and you both been through that.
Oh, it's awful.
I don't have the time or energy to debate them, but another elected official or someone run for something. Hey, I will do that. I will, in a polite way, of course. Like, maybe they could be sitting there, I could be sitting here. We could have a talk about issues in a polite manner. Let the public know.
Well, and that's another thing, too, because I'm so tired of seeing these people taking cheap shots at all the candidates. I don't care what moral compass you have or what your thought process is. You're putting your name on the ballot. I have respect for you because you're putting yourself out there to stand on what you personally believe in. I might not believe in what you're believing in, but hey, you're putting yourself out there and you're doing. These troll comments are just ridiculous. Not even here, but I mean in every step of the way. I mean, from Granite to Collinsville to Edwards. I mean, you name it, all the way back down here. And I don't get that, because to me that impedes the local growth. We want more people to vote, not be discouraged from the local election process.
And people are grossed out by it.
They are.
I told you earlier about them pulling a political stunt. That stuff with the Satanic Book was right around my election. So they want to get a rise out of me. They want to set themselves up for this election. Who would have a day of action to put Satanic books in the library? That is just, and I'll tell you what's so funny about that. The Republican Party in Collinsville, the Saturday before the Monday they did that, I kid you not, we had a food drive with the food pantry. That was our day of action. Their day of action was getting people all down there together to put Satanic books in the library.
And like I said, I hate to hear, that libraries have become such a political front. You know what I'm saying? Because I hate that. That's not supposed to be the forum for it.
Don't understand why you want to destroy somebody over political stuff. Like, we all have lives outside of politics. Why would you want to impede somebody's life? We have policy differences. Let's do the election. Because I sent out a lot of mail this time. I helped with a lot of mail. None of it was negative about my opponent. I did not trash her online. I did not trash her in the mailbox. It wasn't my style.
Yeah, I agree with you.
So,
I think once you get to that point, you're right. People are tuned off to that now. It's not the time and place anymore.
Well, everybody, and I said it at the beginning of the campaign last year, I want to win, but I didn't want, my opponent to live her life damage at all from this campaign.
Right.
She gave it a try. That was my line of thinking. Now, after they got pretty dirty, I'm like, well, maybe I shouldn't run for office. If you got that kind of mentality where you're not worried about improving people's life, you're just worried about destroying people at all costs just to get your very fringe point of view across,
I get you. And, with that, Paul, before I let you go, is there anything else you wanted to get across today?
Oh, well, I thank you for your time. We could talk all day.
Well, we got more time leading up, because I just had Mr. Barham on talking about the state of the Alton race, and wanted to have you on talking about Collinsville and your neck of the woods, and also just more folks that come on, because people get mad at me sometimes. They go, you had somebody on that I don't agree with. Well, I promise you there's 18 other people that are going to weigh in on this election before it's over with, and you'll be back to fill us in too.
The one thing I will say is we have a new county board, as you know. A lot of new board
you guys
members
are working hard.
And we have Chairman Slusser. I will say, I really wished it, I hate to bring up Democrat, Republican so much. The local Democrats have really, really lost a lot of seats, a lot of elections lately. It happens, trying to continue to start trouble like they're freaking out over what Donald Trump does. That's really not going to hit the administration building. So no, it's not.
I'm not trying to laugh, but you're right.
But it's so just don't stoke fear within the community. What he's doing is not going to really hit the county board or the administration building down there. Maybe some things will at some point, but there's nothing now. Like there was a really irresponsible county board member who was just saying that all the stuff Trump was doing was going to shut our federal funding down. Chairman Slusser gave a great statement just stating the facts, and the person doubted it. And Chris's statement will age well.
Yeah.
And the person starting trouble statement won't. And it's out there for everybody to see now on the internet. So.
Well, with that being said, Paul, I always enjoy having you come by the studio. You're welcome back ahead of the
we'll come back after maybe the election. We'll talk about some things, and then there won't be any elections for a while then.
We won't know what to do. Hey, we'll take a quick break, and we're going to wrap up the show with a More You Gray next on Riverbender.